The greatest value I find in working for Noor Kids is that I get to learn a lot at a really fast rate. My legal name is Hassan Najafi, but my full name, Hassan Aliaskar Zulfikar Ahmad Muhammad Muhib Ali Najafi. I work as the Chief of Staff for Noor Kids. So this weekend is a pretty exciting weekend. It's a big weekend. I mean, the Bay Area is huge. We have had 740 members or something. 701 city, that's a lot. And still, when we go to these events, 90% of them have never gotten any Noor Kids materials, have never heard of Noor Kids. So this goes to show that Bay Area has a lot of Muslims. And it's always so exciting to go to a community that has so many Muslims. That doesn't mean it's any less cool to go to somewhere that's smaller, because it's nice to develop places too and help them. The Muslims aren't the minority here. Of course they're the minority, but it doesn't feel like that.
I met Hassan in Orlando, Florida.
January 2019, my cousin Ibrahim had a wedding. This cousin of mine was a longtime friend of Amin's. One day we were all just hanging out, started speaking to Amin, and we hit it off.
He shared with me two things that really stood out. He said that he was a professional cyclist. I think that's not just good, I think that's amazing, because as Muslims, when somebody has this characteristic of ihsan, this wantingness to be excellent, that is good. I too am someone who loves excellence. It's naturally beautiful. The second thing that stood out was his love for coffee, and again, his goal to be excellent with respect to it. And so those were the two things I remember, and I thought, wow, those are really remarkable characteristics.
And he told me about this organization that he had started a few years back, how he left his role in mergers and acquisitions, and I'm like, wow, this is super cool, really cool guy. Gave me some awesome advice.
The next time I see you, I want you to get all A's.
It took me about a year to internalize that advice, but it took me from being a total failing student to graduating magna cum laude in my university. But that advice was a big part of what triggered that. I went back to Chicago, he went back to Minnesota. One day, I was at the Fajr program. Amin tapped me on the back of my shoulder.
And I asked him, how's school going? And he said, alhamdulillah, I got straight A's. Oh my God. Here's a guy who is really excellent in terms of his ambition and is now trying to excel in other areas.
So then we kept in touch, and when I'd graduated college, I was looking for work as a credit analyst. And one day I was hanging out with Amin when he was in Chicago again, visiting his in-laws. I'm looking to hire a chief of staff, is essentially what he said. He's like, and I want you to apply. And so I still hadn't found a job as a credit analyst or as an underwriting analyst. So I'm like, okay, this will be cool. And I applied, and alhamdulillah, I got the job. I later found out he tailored the role so that I could get the role, but he told me to apply and interview anyways. Learning is something that will always be uncomfortable, because learning requires you from going from an unknown to a known. Hence, you learn from it. If something was your instinct, then you probably wouldn't learn all that much. Education is no different. Education, if it doesn't make you uncomfortable, you're probably not learning all that much. And the reason I work for Noor Kids is to try to maximize how much I can learn. It's a small company, so I saw this as certainly a risk, because I mean, for sure the money you're gonna make, at Goldman Sachs is not the money you'll make at Noor Kids, but the rizq, and the other forms of rizq that you get in Noor Kids is different, and maybe money in the afterlife, whatever. Nonetheless, it's certainly a risk. It's a small company. You're doing a bunch of different things, but I saw it as this is an opportunity for me to work alongside somebody who is extremely great at thinking. Dude, my absolute dream would be to be in a business relationship with someone. I wouldn't consider myself to be very visionary. Warren Buffett is very visionary. Charlie Munger was kind of the person who centralized him and gave him points of wisdom when he needed it. Now, Amin is extremely competent and creative and accomplished. I am not any of those things to the level he is. So naturally, just being alongside him, that rubs off on me. And I become more competent and creative and accomplished. And it's a really great feeling when you look back and you say, wow, these were the decisions I was making before, and these are the decisions I was making now, and I feel like I'm making better decisions. That brings a satisfaction to life. Also, and this I discovered later on, there is a great comfort in knowing that every single dollar I make here is halal. There's no ethical issue with how is this money being raised, because everything we do is providing value for kids, helping them learn about Islam and helping parents raise kids The weekend already, the fact that this many people are excited about Noor Kids, it's a successful weekend. The weekend is already successful. So inshallah, if we make it to all the events, it's already successful.
Say hello to Hassan in the back. How many know Hassan from Noor Kids Got Talent?
Welcome back to Noor Kids Got Talent. So one of the things my mom asked me, Hassan, did you ever think in your life you would be in front of a camera making content for little kids?
And I get invited to parties all the time.
Oh, these Pakistanis showing up. And truly, I never thought ever I would be doing that.
Omar Suleiman, that's my friend.
I've always been like a very serious, very directional. So this is totally out of my comfort zone, but I actually really enjoy it. It's ended up being really cool. Outside of that, I mean, that's probably the smallest thing of what I do. I do a lot of our operations work. I do our financial management, our bookkeeping. I handle all of our inventory management. First order is 8-book bundle of the 5 pillars of Islam. So we have 8-book bundle, 5 pillars of Islam. I do some product development, our sales optimizations, all of our events coordination. So there's a lot of different hats that I wear, a lot of different roles that I have. Is Amin here yet? And usually the answer is no, which means I get sad because that means the coffee will be cold. I have free reign over, I'm obsessed with coffee and I love geeking out about the science behind it, and I have free reign over what coffee we drink in the office, and I make it every morning. It's pretty cool show. It's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome because I've got to optimize a lot of different parts of the business. 17.5 by 11.5 by 8. We've almost cleared a full wall of puzzles, which is not bad. I think the biggest thing I've learned is it takes a lot to run a business. There's a lot of different things that have to happen. The great Charlie Munger said, wisdom acquisition is a moral obligation for everyone. The value is not in just getting ahead in life. It's a moral obligation. Wisdom acquisition requires knowledge acquisition. Now, knowledge doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get wisdom from it, but it requires you doing things and it requires you making decisions. And I know that the place I want to be in life and in the next life requires me to gain wisdom so I can make better decisions. Wisdom is never gained through anything but trials and tribulations. That is our nature. That's why Allah promises us one thing in this world, and that's suffering, because that is the only way to really gain great wisdom. There was a lot of learning on this trip, and not just related to coffee. Every day, being in the Noor Kids office, working, it may start to feel like a job sometimes, and sometimes you forget the impact you're actually having. And coming to an event like this, seeing all of these community members in San Francisco benefit from the work we're doing is a true reminder that we're making a real impact. And I am certainly rejuvenated. I'm looking forward to getting back to Minnesota and doing more work.
If you're interested in excellence, join us. I mean, real talk, send me an email. Send us an email. I'd love to get more Hassans on our team. We need excellence wherever we can find it because we've got a big mission. We're not trying to create a corner store. We're not even trying to create Target. We're trying to create Noor Kids.
Oh, whoa. Hold on. Sana.
Yeah, hello? Assalamu alaikum? Busy at work.